This is the OURA Lab at Spur FAQ session. There will be one more in-person FAQ session sometime next week in Johnson Hall in the conference room. So I just want to do some brief introductions, give an overview of the OURA Lab at Spur program, answer some common questions, and then go over next steps. So to start, my name is Courtney Nye. I use she, her pronouns. I am the Associate Director of the Office for Undergraduate Research and Artistry up at CSU, and I am the Program Coordinator for the OURA Lab at Spur program. And so students will interact a lot with me in the preparation and throughout the summer for this program. If you're not familiar with the Office for Undergraduate Research and Artistry, OURA is housed within the Institute for Learning and Teaching, also known as TILT, and we serve as a resource for CSU students, and we promote and expand experiential learning for undergraduate students through research, artistic, and other creative experiences. So we support many different types of programs like OURA Lab at Spur, in addition to other resources to help engage students in research and artistry opportunities at CSU and beyond. So we know that undergraduate research is a high impact practice, which basically means that engaging in research as an undergraduate student can have a really positive impact, not only on your time as a student at CSU, but also on your career as well. You will learn many different skills that can transfer to different career opportunities and also to the classroom. And even if the research is not necessarily within your field of study, it could be interdisciplinary or some other field that may or may not directly relate to what you were studying at CSU, and it can still have a really positive experience or impact for you. And so we highly encourage students at CSU to get involved in research opportunities, whether or not they're at CSU or elsewhere. So we want the experience that is provided in the OURA Lab at Spur program to be affirming, validating, and connected to your prior experiences and to your identities. And so we are hoping to provide overall a holistically positive experience for you in the OURA Lab at Spur program. In the OURA Lab at Spur program, accepted students are paid to participate in a 10-week research-focused program. This program is for CSU students only and strengthens your relationship to CSU facilities and staff. The program is divided into 3 major phases. In the first 2 weeks, you will do some foundational training with me, and during that time, you will spend time in the lab developing skills, testing out new experiments, and selecting your research mentor as you get familiar with Spur's campus and what it's like to do research independently in a lab. Then you will work directly with a research mentor for 7 weeks of the program. And then in the final week of the program, you will be involved in community engagement, where you will work with your peers on figuring out how to share the research that you worked on over the summer with a broader audience, like the general public. And this program culminates with a final showcase, which this year will be on Friday, August 1st. Students who participate in the OURA Lab at Spur program will gain a better understanding of the purpose of research and its relevance to their own lives and communities. They will develop skills and knowledge that they can apply to future research experiences, learning opportunities, and careers, and will develop confidence in their abilities to conduct research and feel empowered to pursue future research opportunities. So in terms of the application timeline, this is a little different from the past year's timeline. So we have 2 application deadlines this year. So the priority application deadline is February 9th. So Students who apply by February 9th, some, not necessarily all students, will be invited to complete an interview in February, and a small number of students will be accepted in February and offered positions in the OURA Lab program for 2025. Then we have a second application deadline, and this is the final deadline, which is March 14th, right before the start of spring break. And students who apply for this deadline will be invited to interview after spring break. Students who applied to the February deadline who did not receive an offer, or who maybe perhaps did not receive an interview, will also be considered in this cohort. So it is to your advantage to apply early, because you will be considered not just once, but twice. And then final acceptances will be sent out in early April after all of the interviews have been completed. So if you apply for the February deadline and you are not contacted during February at all, fear not. I will be keeping you in the pool for consideration for the March deadline. So don't worry if you have not received an interview or acceptance in February. This is so make sure I have enough time to spread out the application process over time and respond to students in a more timely manner. And that way, some students who are, if you are perhaps waiting to find out about a different summer opportunity and you realize at the end of February that you did not receive that opportunity, then you still have time to apply for the March 14th deadline. So we are trying to meet varying student needs by spreading out the deadlines across the spring semester. So here are some common questions that I get from students. So CSU students with any major can participate. We are not looking for only STEM majors. In fact, we had students last year with a business major and an anthropology major accepted into the program. So any major is welcome to apply. All that we ask is that you have an interest in engaging in undergraduate research. You do not need to have prior lab or research experience or a certain GPA. And in fact, we encourage students who have no research experience at all to apply for this program. Lodging is not provided down at Spur. And so this entire 10-week program will take place at the CSU Spur site down in Denver. So you must have daily proximity to the Spur campus in Denver. Please make sure to include your plans for this in your survey application. There is a question that I ask about what are your plans for traveling to Spur. Please provide as many details and be as specific as possible when you're answering this question. You will not receive course credit or a grade for participating in this 10-week program, but you will be paid hourly at a rate of $18.81 per hour for 40 hours per week for the entire 10-week program. So this is more like a paid internship or job rather than a course. You must be available for the entirety of the program, which spans from May 27th through August 1. If you happen to miss a day or two here or there, as long as you are in communication with me, so that way I know your availability and what you might end up missing, then we can make arrangements for you to make up any work that you might have missed, or just figure out with your research mentor what your schedule might look like. So please make sure you are in communication with me about your summer plans. But overall, you must be available to participate in the entire 10-week program. You are expected to be on site daily, roughly from 9 to 5, although some remote work may be possible depending on your research group. So depending on what type of research you're doing, you may or may not be at the Spur site the entire summer. And also you may or may not have a typical 9 to 5 schedule over the summer. This year, not all research groups are based in the lab. So there are some research opportunities that are not necessarily lab-based and are more social science-based, which means working with people. Or they might be working with horses and with people in the equine lab. And so there are opportunities that are not the traditional STEM lab-based research. So there are opportunities for all different interests in research this upcoming summer. If you need any lab-related or research-related supplies, we will be providing them for you. You will not need to purchase anything. We will provide you with any supplies or materials that you might need. And you must be, over the summer, you must be an active current student at CSU to participate. So you cannot participate if you are graduating this upcoming May. You must end up being a registered student for the fall 2025 semester in order to participate in this opportunity. Finally, there are several different research groups that you can work with at Spur in 2025, and I would encourage you to look at our website for more information about all of the different research groups, because I only have a few of them represented here. So one of them that is new for us this year is a Spur Health Education and Lifelong Food Solutions group called Shelves. And so Shelves focuses on community-driven research and education to increase access to affordable, nutritious whole foods for improving the health of Coloradans across their lifespan. So this is an example of research that might not take place in the lab and is more community-based, working with people type of research. AIMS is a group at Spur that develops technology to make it easier for pharmaceutical innovators to get their biological medications into the hands of those who need them most. So the student who got to work with AIMS last year worked on vaccine components and researching different components, chemical components of vaccines. The Metropolitan Agricultural Research Center, also known as MARC, they address global challenges like food security, resource efficiency, and sustainability, and they work on growing different plants and food sources in their laboratory. So you can work with agriculture in a research environment. So those are just 3 examples, but we have a number of research groups available to you this upcoming summer. So as I mentioned, make sure to check them out on the website. So in terms of next steps, there is more information about the research groups available on our website, which I will drop in the chat in a moment, but you can see it here on the screen. In order to apply for this program, please apply via the Qualtrics form that is linked on the site. If you apply just through Handshake by clicking the apply button and uploading your resume, you will not have applied to this posting. So make sure you are applying through the survey that asks you questions about your research interests. It asks you about your prior experience, your discipline, and your travel plans to and from Spur. If you have any questions, you are always welcome to reach out to me directly with my email address, courtney.nye@colostate.edu, and I am happy to answer individual questions that way. At this time, for those who are in the room right now, do you have any questions that you would like to ask?
I have a question. Are we guaranteed to get the research group that we're most interested in, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So during the first week of the program, we will actually be doing interactions and introductions with all of the research groups. So you will get to tour the research groups that are down there at Spur, and they will also get to interact with you, and you will get to, tell me your priority labs in which order that you are interested in. And in turn, the mentors will tell me who they are most interested in working with, and I will try to align to the best of my ability, but it is unlikely everyone will get their first choice. So you will give me your top 5 choices, and I will do my best at that point to align students with research groups. Yeah, great question though.
I also have another question.
Yeah.
From previous years, how big are these research groups, average maybe?
Another really great question. So the research groups totally depend. So for example, like the Green Roof Research Group is quite large and they have like, I think they had like 3 or 4 graduate students and 1 postdoc and then multiple undergraduate students working with them. As opposed to other research groups like Ames could only have 1 student working with them and there was 1 researcher in that group. So it really varies in size depending on the research group. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Great questions. Any other questions?
Another general question I have is like how competitive, like I guess what percentage of students that apply actually get a position at the OURA Lab?
Mm, um, it's really tough to say because last year was the first year we ran the program. So it's hard to estimate exactly how many students will apply this year as well. But it is there's a lot of interest in the program. Um, And so as I start going through the applications and reaching out to folks, I'm sure I'll share at that time, like how many students end up applying and like what percentage we are able to accept. But it is a pretty competitive program at this time.
All right.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, well, I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm actually going to end the recording now.